everybody. So looks like I'm going to be working on another project here. So this is going to be a prop replica of a prop that was actually seen in an episode of Star Trek Deep Space Nine. It's from season 2 and it's an episode called Shadowplay. And so in that episode this prop gets just a real brief screen time where you only see it very briefly, but it ends up being a little scanner. It's called an Eskran scanner, and it was a scanner that was used by the people that live in this village, and it turns out they were actually holographic people. And so Dax ends up using this piece, and so this piece here is the shell of the scanner prop, and so it's, you can see here it's kind of hollow on the inside. Now this is 3D printed, and what's really cool about this is I got this from the guy that made the actual prop on the show. He still had the master for it, and then he scanned it and was able to make this 3D printed copy of it. Now, I'm not usually a big fan of 3D printed stuff, as nice of a technology as it is, usually because, as you can see on the bottom here, the lines on here are really hard to sand off, and usually no matter how much you sand, the lines are still on there because they usually go all the way through the plastic. And so we'll see how this is going to work. But the bottom, this is going to be the bottom, so you're not really going to see that much of it. Thankfully, he was nice enough to pre-treat this so that a lot of this, the sanding has already been done, which I am very, very grateful for. So the only parts I'm really going to have to worry about are these indented areas like here, here, and there, and I'll have to kind of do some sanding. And there's a lot of detail that goes in here, and so let me show you a quick little still from the episode. Okay, now I had to pause this from Netflix, and this is the episode. So now here you can see Dax is holding the prop right here. Now you can actually see that there is actually a light in the middle. It's a screen, it's like a little view screen or whatever, and it actually lights up. So I'm going to try to make that happen, and I don't know, hopefully I can make it work, but you can kind of see some of the details on it right here. Now, later in the episode, you can see this is actually the best view that you get of this piece. So Dax is holding it in her hand right here, and you can see all the crazy details that are on it, and it looks really cool. It's kind of like a rusty brown color, and you got the nice mint green kind of plantons, as they're called. So I'm going to have to try to add all that detail into this. And then also in the center there, you can see the view screen, or the little, screen on there, and it's got an unusual looking graphic right there, which I'm hoping I can get that replicated as well. So that's what the prop looks like when it's done. It's got all kinds of crazy details that you can see here. So I don't know. Hopefully I can make it look like that. So now looking back at the original piece here. So yeah, this is, I think it's really cool that this is actually made from the original prop that you saw in those little stills from the episode. So I'm going to have to try to make all those little, they're called plantons, all the little strips, the little mint green colored strips. I know those were made from styrene plastic, and so I'll have to cut all those little parts. It's probably going to be kind of tedious, but hopefully I can make it look good. Try to see if I can find the rusty brown color for the overall color of this. And also, I was not going to put lights in this because honestly in the episode you really can't really see the lights very well. The only time you see the screen lit is in that earlier screen grab that I showed you, and that's the only time you see it. The rest of the time when Dax is holding this in her hand, like this, you can't really see the lights because it was filmed in broad daylight. So there's actually 8 LED lights, they're yellow, that go around this inner circle right here, and they blink in a circular pattern, but you never get to see that in the show. And then of course there's the screen with the little graphic in there. So I actually have a custom made lighting kit coming that will have those blinking lights and have the middle screen lit up, and I'm really hoping I can fit it in here, because as you can see there is not a lot of room in here at all to work with. So I'm still talking with the guy who's making the circuit about how we're going to make that fit in here, and I'm hoping I can. I was hoping to use a 9-volt battery, but it's not going to fit. There's just not enough room, so we're probably going to have to use button cell batteries, unfortunately. I'm not really a fan of those, but we're going to have to make it work however we can. So there's not a lot of room to work with in here. He said he can also, this is really cool, he said he can actually make that screen and he can laser etch the graphic that goes in the center. So I'm really happy about that, because originally I was going to see if I could use some kind of a sticker, which I think the original prop used either a sticker or a decal, or maybe it was silk screened on there. But if I can get a laser etched pattern on there, I think that'll look much better. So anyway, we'll have to see how much work we can get done on this. And I'm not sure how long the electronics are going to take to get here. Those could take up to a month, so we'll see how it goes. All right, well, I've gotten quite a bit of work done on this today. I went to the hobby shop, and thankfully everything's open again. And I was able to find, I mean, you can see here I got quite a bit done on this. So I was not really sure what color paint I was going to use. I ended up using this Tamiya, and it is, well, let me turn it around. It is dull red. TS33. I like Tamiya paints. They go on nice and smooth, and they dry really fast, and I've never had a problem with them. And so yeah, I was able to find a kind of a burnt red color that looks like the original prop had on it. This sanded really good. I was really surprised. I'm really glad that the whole thing sanded pretty smooth, and I was able to get it you know, pretty much all the lines, the 3D print lines off, and that was really good. These little plantons, as I've called them, these little, you know, white, well, they're white now. I gotta paint them the mint green. I knew those were going to be tedious. Those were super tedious. So I used some sheet styrene like here, and I just had to measure them. These are like extra bits here, and then just use a old X-Acto knife and hand cut each one of those and put them in there, and then used one of these little sanding sticks to kind of smooth them down and everything. But yeah, it was really tedious to get those in there and make sure they're kind of the right size, because there's 5 here, 5 here, and 7 there. And then you got these really teeny ones that kind of fit in these slots right here. There's 3 on that side and 4 on that side. So, oh man. So I was going to paint these. I was going to spray paint them. So I was going to use this Model Masters Sublime Green, because it's kind of a mint green color that those things. This prop actually has some pretty strange colors to it. Most Star Trek props don't really have that kind of color to it, but then again, this was a holographic Society's scanner, so you know. But anyway, so I was going to take each one of these separate pieces and tape them to a piece of paper or a piece of cardboard, and then spray paint them with this green color. But I just know that if I start spraying it, you know, once the paint starts saturating the tape, these pieces are going to go flying everywhere. So I think what I'm just going to do is I'm just going to spray a bunch of this on a piece of paper, and just take a brush and just hand paint each one of those, because it'll be just a whole lot easier, I think. And also I won't have to worry about them going flying somewhere, because I really don't want to cut any more of these. I still have to cut some that go on the side. There's a bunch of weird you know, these plantons, as they're called, they go on the side. So yeah, I still got to do a bunch of those, which I'll be working on next. Alright, well, I decided to go ahead and spray paint these after all. I just used some tape to put these pieces down, and then I used double stick tape. Let's see, where is it? Using this thing. It's one of these little cool little Scotch adhesive roller things, and so it has double stick tape on it. So I used that to, I just put a strip of it on here. You can kind of see it right there, and just put those pieces on there. And then I went ahead and used the Model Masters Sublime Green, and I think it's going to work good. It's a nice lime green color, like what they used on the actual prop. But so yeah, you know, I didn't have those glued on in that last segment. I just mocked it up so that we could kind of take a look at it. So anyway, yeah, these sprayed pretty good. And I'm just going to let these dry overnight. Now, some of these pieces, these ones here actually go on the side of this. And because that's a curve, I had to curve these parts. And I knew that was going to be a little bit tricky, but what I did is I just, after I cut that strip out, I heated it up with a lighter, and I just bent it around the curve of this flashlight. And so it made a nice little mold. And then I would just keep reheating it until I could get it to the proper curve that I needed. So those are going to work really good. So anyway, there's about 18 more parts that I have to cut, and for these more of these little planton pieces. Some of them are big ones that go back here, and I also got some pink paint here, because there's a weird there's a few weird little pink areas on here. There's like a little pink square here, and there's a pink area that goes here and here. and I think there's another pink one here, and so it's just weird. They're just like these weird pink colored little areas that were painted on there. It's got such a bizarre color scheme to this prop, but anyway, at least I had that laying around, and I thankfully had that paint laying around too, so I didn't have to buy another can, because this stuff is expensive. And so anyway, that's where we are now, and I'm going to be cutting the 18 more pieces for the rest of it, and I'm sure that's going to be tedious as well. Here's what I got now done today, and I got all these pieces now glued on, and it looks really cool, actually. I'm really glad to get these things done, because man, those things were a real pain, and especially these, because they're so tiny. I had to use these forceps to these tweezers to get them in there, because they're so small. I had to use tweezers for all of this, but you know, and it's just really crazy detailed stuff, really time consuming. I like the way it looks. I mean, I'm not this isn't going to be my best work, and and it's I don't have all these fancy machines to make everything perfect, and these are all hand cut. I had to do everything by hand. I don't have like a laser cutter to cut all these pieces. And then here's the side. I got all those done too around there, so I got that far all the way around it, so at least I got that. And then these buttons I was talking about go right in this section here and here, and they're raised up a little bit. And then these little kind of like, where are they? These little trapezoid pieces here, those go right in this spot and this spot. And then I'm gonna have to take some guesses on some of this detail back here, because in that scene I can see there's a horizontal piece that goes here, and then there's an up and down vertical piece here. Same with this. I'm guessing this is mirror image, because you can't see this side, and you can't see in here either, but I'm sure that's not left blank, since all these other sides have some kind of a horizontal thing on it. So I made this really short piece right here that I'm going to put in there, and so I have to kind of guess at some of this stuff, because you can't really see it. I wish there was better views of the prop on the show, but it just gets a short amount of screen time. And so anyway, I think it's turning out okay, considering my limited skills on some of this stuff. But anyway, so that's it for this step. I'll show you what I got on the next one. All right, I think I am finally done as far as the cosmetic part of this goes. So everything is finally all put on there and painted, and oh my gosh, I can't believe how many pieces make up this thing. So here's the back I was talking about, where I am pretty sure I got this right. The only thing I'm not 100% sure about is this and this, because you can't see those like I mentioned earlier, but I'm pretty sure that's how that looks. And then here's those buttons I was talking about, how they sit up. See how these ones, like this one here and this one, or I mean this one here, so yeah, those sit up a little bit. And then when I was looking at it's such limited pictures that are available of this thing, but I noticed that there's kind of like these dark gray highlights on there, so I went ahead and put those on as well. And then there's these weird pink areas on here, so you can kind of see these pink spots. It looks pink to me anyway, from what I was looking at, and it looks like they're just painted on, or maybe it's just tape, I'm not sure. But there's that other one, and then there's that, so those are all done as well. And then I also got the little two little bits here, and then the two little ones on here as well. And then on the front here, they have these little connector lines on here, and so I got those on there, and there's two over here and then two over here. So, and I just used tape for those. I actually used pinstripe tape for that, and just painted it green, the same color green, and then that way it's just easier to put on, because those things are really small and nobody's going to really notice it anyway. So anyway, that's what we got going on now. All I need now is the electronics, so hopefully I can get those to get the screen in here. It's sounding promising that that's going to work out, and also I was able to find the graphic that goes in there, where the nice guy that's making the circuit for me said that he can use that. So yeah, I think we might have it going. The lid that I have originally planned for the bottom here, I might swap it out for something else instead of that grinding wheel. Maybe something lighter if I can find something. But anyway, I am so glad to get this done. This was a crazy amount of work. It's amazing how many things were on this prop. I mean, I knew that it had a lot of cool stuff on it, but man. So yeah, very time consuming to make all that stuff, but it was well worth it. I'm loving the way that looks now. All right, so next step is the electronics, I hope. All right, well, it's about 2 months later now, or 2.5 months, I guess, and I got the electronics. And so this is a completely custom-made electronic set. So a huge, huge thank you and a big shout out to Jupiter Electronics. Jupiter Electronics is who I got this from. They're located in Canada, and I will put a link in the description down below. I got a previous electronics set from them for my Ghostbusters Ghost Trap video when I modified a Hollywood Collectibles Ghost Trap. And so that's where I got the electronics for. And so they also do electronics for things like Knight Rider, Ghostbusters, as I mentioned, Battlestar Galactica. So they got all kinds of cool stuff. And then they also do custom stuff like this. This is a totally custom-made piece. And so, yeah, I am a huge thank you to Jupiter Electronics for this. This is the battery pack here. And then he also provided, or they've also provided, this is the graphic. And this is really cool. This is the part I was worried about how I was going to make this, and it turns out they have a laser cutter, and they were able to laser this out. So this back piece was actually separate from the top. This top piece was actually clear, and then I just kind of sanded it to kind of frost it up a little bit. And then this white piece is a separate piece, and it's a diffuser, so that it'll diffuse the light. So when you turn this on like this, you can see how it diffuses the light like that, but see how cool that looks? That is absolutely fantastic. And so we just came to the conclusion that the lights spin like this because you never really get to see it in the episode. I only know they spin because I was talking to the gentleman that actually made the actual prop on the show. So that's the only way I knew that they spun. And so I just assumed there was one light on each side that would turn like that. So that was just a complete guess. I don't know if that's actually what it did, but you know, close enough as far as I'm concerned. So yeah, now I'm really happy to get this piece. So I'm very, very grateful to Jupiter Electronics for this. This is really great. I love all of this. So let's see. So here's the piece again. And so I need to somehow try to fit all this in here. And this actually looks like it's going to fit perfect. And I can't believe it fits as good as it does because we had to do all the measurements through email and pictures. And so somehow I think this is going to work. I think it's you know, these LEDs, I was worried about them sticking up a little too high, but I think it's just barely going to fit as far as thickness goes. And then also I have a lid. Just cut a piece of acrylic or whatever this material is. It's just plastic, and so that's going to be the lid for the back here. And I'll have to figure out how to mount it. I think I'm just going to put pieces of little pieces of like sponge or something where I marked it, and then it'll just kind of fit into the like pressure fit onto the back. That way I was going to put magnets on there, but I'm scared magnets might mess with this thing, and I certainly don't want to mess with that. So yeah, better to not mess with it. Alright, well, let's see if I can get the whole thing put together, and then I'll show you what the finished product looks like. Alright, so I've hot glued the faceplate in, and that's pretty much the best way to get that to go in there. I mean, it fits absolutely perfect, nice and snug. I had to do a little bit of sanding around the edges, but it fits just fine. And then now this interior piece here is going to go just right on top of it, and there's nothing really to connect this to that. The only thing that touches it are the LEDs, so I'm just going to have to pour a bunch of hot glue kind of along the side here and just do it that way. So we'll see how that turns out. Okay, so I got the electronics glued in, and that was no problem at all. Just a few glops of hot glue to hold it in, and it's good. And then the battery pack, I just used double stick tape to hold it in place so that stays right where it is. I can just take it off if I need to replace the batteries. And it uses two 2032 button cell batteries. And then the lid here, I found these little spongy, I don't know what these are. I think they may be things that you put on the bottom of things to maybe not scratch surfaces or something. But they work perfect for putting on here. And then it just kind of pressure fits, and then that holds the lid in place. And then, yeah, and then you don't have to worry about it falling off. So yeah, that works just great. Oh man, this looks so cool. I can't believe it. So yeah, oh, that looks fantastic. All right, let me turn on the lights. Okay, there it is. Everything is complete now. Oh man, I can't believe how cool this looks. So yeah, this is a totally obscure prop from Deep Space Nine, but I just think it looks really cool, and I kind of wish it had more screen time, but you know, that's how a lot of props are. So there was some discussion with some of the guys in the prop club that I'm in, and some people suggested that the side details, these side, like, you know, striping that goes on, that might have been just tape. The guy that made the original prop was saying that when he sent it to the set, all it had was this top detail here. It did not have any of this side stuff going on. It didn't have any of this stuff. And so he said the art department added that. And then one of the guys on there is saying that it was gold colored tape. But I don't know, in some scenes or some photos it looks like it's green like this. And then in other pictures it looks like that's gold. So I don't know if it's green or gold or what. But even in some pictures that the gentleman that made the prop, he let us see some pictures of the prop before it went to the set. And even sometimes this looks gold in certain lighting, and even this dark red looks a little different in some spots. It's just totally the way the light plays on this thing. So you know, I'm just going with what I saw. And as far as tape on the side, I don't know, I'm not sure I would want tape on the side, because the whole thing has got these three-dimensional, you know, so you can see how it sticks up right there. So the top definitely did have styrene plastic pieces. That's what they used on it. And so now just to use tape on the side looks, I don't know, not so good to me. I think it should have a three-dimensional kind of look to it as well. So I'm just sticking with what I have here. I just think that, you know, I think that's how it looked. I mean, you just got to go with what you got, what you can see. I mean, considering that the you really don't get a whole lot of, you know, views of this thing. It's just on screen very briefly, and you only get a quick look at it, you know, in a couple of brief shots. Okay, so this isn't the best view, but I was trying to match it up to the scene in the episode. And so, you know, like I said, because that was filmed in daylight, you can't actually see the lights blinking like you can here. And you can't even tell that the screen is lit up. So, unfortunately, the lights on the actual prop were lost due to the daylight. But you can see this looks pretty darn close to the original when you see the detail here and that one. So, yeah, oh man, so cool. So there we go. That is the completed Eskran scanner, and it's called an Eskran scanner, even though they never really said so in the episode. And I'm not sure where Eskran comes from. I don't know if that was the name of the planet that they landed on that had the holographic people on there. Maybe it was called Eskra or something like that. But the gentleman that I got the main piece of the prop from said it was called an Eskran scanner. So a big thank you to him for being able to get this the shell for this whole thing. And a huge thank you to Jupiter Electronics for the lighting and the graphic piece in the middle. That was really awesome of them. It took a while to get it, but that's okay. I totally understand. It is a custom piece, and those things do take time. And considering, you know, how we had to go about doing it with just, you know, emailing and each other with measurements and pictures, and I had to give them pictures of the depth and everything. I mean, it fits just perfect. I could not have asked for better, because there's no way I could have made this myself. And so it looks fantastic. So another awesome and yet obscure prop, but I love these obscure ones. And I remember when I first saw this episode, when it first aired, I loved this thing. And so I'm just really happy to be able to get a really good and decent looking replica of it. So yeah, that's it. That is the Eskran scanner from Deep Space Nine. So go watch it. It's from the episode Shadowplay, which is I really love that episode. Mainly the story with the holographic people, not so much the Kira and Dr. Bashir story or whatever it was. All right, well, that's it for this video, and I appreciate all of you watching, and if you enjoyed, give a like and subscribe if you'd like as well. So thank you so much, and have a good one. Take care.